and welcome to War Games episode 21. My name is Sock Monkey Mike, your host with the most, and you already know what the deal is. And thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. You already know what the deal is. And welcome to the best review show for WWE NXT and AEW Dynamite. Oh my goodness, what a night of professional wrestling that we had this past Wednesday on both NXT and AEW Dynamite. Now, I didn't do Late Night Dynamite, which took place on Tuesday night, which happened to be a double feature of AEW Dark as well. So I didn't cover that, so I do apologize. And I do apologize for the latency of this episode. I took a week off because of some school and personal reasons, but other than that, I'm here now, and I'm here ready to review. So with this said, let's get into the picks. We had a great night of professional wrestling, like I mentioned before. So NXT, which I'm going to start off with first, had a very stacked night. I mean, obviously, we have the number one contender gauntlet match, to determine the NXT Championship number one contender, who will face off against Finn Balor at NXT TakeOver in October. But not only that, we also had a NXT Women's number one contender battle royal. And not only that, we also had a very unique matchup which happened surprisingly on this episode of NXT on the spot with the weird combination of Roderick Strong and Danny Burch taking on Raul Mendoza and Fabian Eichner of Imperium? Like, this was a very unique night of professional wrestling, but I'm going to start off, since I'm talking about NXT first, I'm going to start off with NXT with my top three picks. At my number three pick, like I mentioned before, is Roderick Strong and Danny Burch. Like I mentioned before, two very different tag team competitors taking on Raul Mendoza and Fabian Eichner. Now, according to my knowledge from what I saw on NXT, Tyler Breeze and Fandango had went backstage and talked to William Regal to determine their next number one contender for their NXT tag team titles. Apparently, this is the logic here. So the logic is have two tag team partners, two tag team competitors, two separate ones, tag with each other, and then the winner of that match would then go on to have another match to face off against each other with their separate and respective tag teams. So this was an interesting kind of situation here. Of course, William Regal agreed to it. Of course, the match itself was absolutely wonderful because I love all four of these competitors. Roderick Strong, absolutely a phenomenal competitor indeed. Of course, Danny Burch, I mean, the things that he has done in NXT UK and, even in the beginnings of NXT back in 2014, 2015, when he was only an enhancement talent. Same thing goes with Fabian Eichner. The thing with Fabian Eichner and Raul Mendoza, that's a very unique combination there because, of course, Fabian Eichner and Raul Mendoza were a part of the Cruiserweight Classic back in 2016. And just to see these two different styles team up and showcase, it was a very interesting concept to do. But just to go into the match a little bit, a very great match. I think that all four of these competitors killed it, absolutely killed it. We saw a lot of times Roderick Strong proving why he is the Messiah of the Backbreaker. Of course, and it was weird because, I think Roderick Strong and Danny Burch have very similar styles. They're very hard-hitting, brawling type of styling wrestlers. And then, of course, you have Fabian Eichner doing what he does best as a cruiserweight, and not only as a cruiserweight, but as a big man. And combining those two styles together, holy crap, like, that is absolutely amazing. Same thing with Raul Mendoza. Don't sleep on Raul Mendoza, since he is a former, like I mentioned before, a former first-round competitor for the Cruiserweight Classic. Just his high-flying skills alone, and the fact that he took that match to a high-level pace, absolutely amazing. But at the end of the day, Roderick Strong and Danny Burch get the victory. So in that saying, they will face off against next week. I believe it's Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish, I think, that are going to be in a tag team match against Danny Burch and Only Lorcan to determine the new number one contenders for the NXT Tag Team Championships. I'm going to give this match a 3.5 out of 4 stars. This match really impressed me. I think that this was really a match that was different, and it really showcased all these individuals as single stars, but not only that, you know, it really proved that you could put any two combinations together and it can work magic, it can work wonders. So I'm really interested and really happy that this match had happened. As my number 2 pick for NXT is the NXT Championship #1 Contendership Gauntlet match, which included the following people. It included Bronson Reed, it included Kyle O'Reilly, it included Timothy Thatcher, Cameron Grimes. I think that's all of them. I'm pretty sure that's all of them. So this was a unique gauntlet match to determine Finn Balor's new #1 contender. Oh my goodness, what a match indeed. I mean, you had Cameron Grimes doing what he does best. Bronson Reed, who I've been very impressed with as well. Such a great and gifted Australian big man. And then same thing goes with Timothy Thatcher doing what he does best. Timothy Thatcher and Finn Balor have had issues in the past, so it was kind of interesting knowing if he would be the new #1 contender. But at the end of the day, I mean, what the heck? The winner of the match actually turned out to be Kyle O'Reilly, representing the Undisputed Era. You know, and Kyle O'Reilly, I'm a huge fan of Kyle O'Reilly, as you guys know. Really loved his work in Ring of Honor, especially a singles run. Loved what he's been doing with the Undisputed Era currently as well. But I think this may be, and this is not probably a spoiler, but this may be what triggers the Undisputed Era to split up. I think Kyle O'Reilly is the guy. I think he has a great potential to really have a singles run. And maybe we might get some championship gold from Kyle O'Reilly, which I'm very excited to see his match versus Finn Balor at NXT TakeOver 31 in October. So I'm very excited and I can't wait to see. But other than that, I'm going to give this match I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 4 stars. I think that it had very great elements in there. Oh, and I forgot to mention Kushida was in the match as well, but that kind of matters because Velveteen kind of attacked Kushida, but I mean that doesn't matter. But I'm really excited for Kyle O'Reilly, but this match really gave it all. It gave it its all, and I absolutely loved every single moment of it. And now finally, on my #1 pick is going to be the NXT Women's Championship #1 Contender Battle Royale, which included the likes of Candice LeRae taking on Tegan Knox, taking on Rhea Ripley, taking on Kaden Carter, taking on Casey Catanzaro, taking on Raquel Gonzalez, taking on, I believe I said Rhea Ripley already, and taking on Indy Hartwell. There was also some other competitors in the match as well. I believe, oh my goodness, was Jessica May in there? I believe she was. And there was also some other competitors in the match as well, which I cannot name at this moment of time. Very unique battle royal match. I think this is different than some we've seen in the past, especially during the COVID era. We've seen a lot of great eliminations back and forth. I mean, obviously the intensity between Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez, of course, their former teammates when they were known in not in the independent scene, but more so towards the Florida touring scene as R&R. I can't wait to see that match happen. I'm very excited too. Very gifted, powerful women's competitors. But at the end of the day, Candice LeRae gets the victory and becomes the new #1 contender for Aew Shirai's NXT Women's Championship. I'm very excited to see that match happen. Probably it's going to happen at TakeOver. And I'm really excited to see Candice LeRae. I'm hoping she takes the title off of Aew Shirai, because I believe that Johnny, who also received a championship match against Damian Priest for the NXT North American Championship, of course, at that TakeOver is something I'm very excited to see as well. But, Candice LeRae, having this opportunity, I believe this is her first opportunity at the NXT Women's Championship in quite some time, I believe over a year. So I'm very excited to see. I'm going to rate this match a 4 out of 4 stars. So much craziness happening in this Battle Royal, and I feel like that this is something really, really cool. All right. And now on to my top 3 picks for AEW Dynamite. Now, AEW Dynamite really killed it. I think they really set the bar for this in particular night. They had Late Night Dynamite, which happened on Tuesday night. Kind of a double feature, like I mentioned before, with Dark and AEW Late Night Dynamite. This was a really good episode of AEW Dynamite. Obviously, we saw the in-ring debut of Miro, aka Rusev. He did Flight of the Accolade, or I don't even know what they're going to call it now, along with Kip Sabian. But we're not going to talk about that more. We're going to talk about the top 3 picks. So, without further ado, let's get everything started. At my number 3 pick, man, you know what? My number 3 pick is the AEW, or no. Okay. At my number 3 pick is going to be the very unique tag team matchup between Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa taking on the women's tag team title cup winners, Ivelisse, Velez, and Diamante. Now, Diamante and Ivelisse are absolutely great as a tag team. It's cool to see them in tag team action once again. But this is interesting because at first, in my mind, when I first saw it, I thought Hikaru Shida was turning heel, and I thought Thunder Rosa was a heel, but that wasn't the case. But very great match. I think that this really showcased not only AEW's women's division and trying to build that up, but showing off NWA, especially with their women's division. Thunder Rosa for Primetime Live, for those who don't watch on Fight TV, is set to defend, or actually she did defend her NWA Women's Championship against Priscilla Kelly, which was an amazing match, so make sure you guys go check that out as well. But very awesome match. I'm going to give this a 3 out of 4 stars. I think that it showcased all 4 women great. And, you know, of course, there's some heat with Ivelisse and Thunder Rosa because Ivelisse wasn't able to sell for Thunder Rosa, but aside from the controversies, very great match. At my number 2 pick is going to be the TNT Championship match. This is Mr. Brody Lee's, I believe, 3rd defense for the TNT Championship against Orange Cassidy. This was a very out of the blue match coming into this. But at the end of the day, Mr. Brody Lee retains. But Orange Cassidy held it on his own. Of course, with the distractions of the Dark Order at ringside, John Silver, Alex Reynolds. It was kind of funny to see them at ringside, but you know, Mr. Brody Lee retains. I'm going to give this match a 3.5 out of 4 stars. I think that this was a great match. It really showed Orange Cassidy and what he does best. And that's putting on some banger matches. Obviously, we saw that with his matches against Chris Jericho in the past with the Mimosa Mayhem match and everything like that. But Mr. Brody Lee establishing himself as a great TNT champion. I wish he would have done this with the AEW title early on in the year. I believe it was Double or Nothing, but I mean, everything happens for a reason. But with this said, this led up to the return of Cody. Cody having the black hair. First time since, I believe, Ring of Honor, or maybe the early stages of Dynamite in 2019 that we haven't seen that dark hair. But I'm really excited, like I mentioned before, to see Cody back in action and maybe get that rematch for the TNT Championship. Especially since we got a match that was more of a squash match, so I'm really excited to see that as well. And finally, at my number 1 pick is going to be the AEW Championship being put on the line. Now, before I get more into this, originally promoted was supposed to be a 6-man tag team match. That was going to be with Jon Moxley, of course, Will Hobbs, who I'm a huge fan of. Who is the third? Darby Allin. And they were taking on the team of Lance Archer, Brian Cage, and Ricky Starks. Now, this match was supposed to happen, however, due to Lance Archer having COVID, those matches were changed, and of course it turned into an AEW Championship match. And surprisingly enough, they gave it to Eddie Kingston. I'm a huge fan of Eddie Kingston, and this is actually the second AEW title opportunity for Eddie Kingston. At first, when he first debuted into AEW, he faced off against Cody for the TNT Championship. So technically not the AEW Championship, but regardless, a championship opportunity that I was really interested in seeing how they're going to go with that. Holy smokes, man. Like, this match, hard-hitting. I mean, they really had great chemistry in the ring. I think that, you know, the hard knock style is really a lost art in professional wrestling, and Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston did absolutely wonders with that. You know, but of course at the end of the day, Jon Moxley did retain. But there was some chaos afterwards. I believe Brian Cage had got involved, Ricky Starks and Darby Allin were going at it. I believe Will Hobbs was in there as well, but I wasn't too sure from the memory that I have. But that was a tremendous championship match indeed. So with all this said, I'm going to give NXT the grade, which I forgot to do in the beginning. I'm going to give it an A. And I'm going to give it AEW Dynamite an A. See, it's really hard to tell who won this week, because both shows really killed it in two very different perspectives. You know what? I'm going to give this week... I'm going to give this to NXT this week. I believe that, you know, Of course, we didn't have championship matches, but it still caught my eye. It still, as a viewer, it brought me in and it made me witness a story that was different than the rest. I believe since this was last minute, I don't think AEW Dynamite really kind of clicked it, especially for something as a last minute AEW Championship match. But I mean, it turned out great. I'm not saying one show sucked. I'm just saying that I preferred NXT because it gave better for storyline reasons than it gave for better television. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's War Games. Of course, like I mentioned before, NXT won this week, and I'm hoping to see more in the upcoming weeks to come. So thank you guys so much. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. You already know what the deal is. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next episode of War Games for episode number 22. And until we meet again, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bam!